How is everybody doing today? It is August 2, 2022. I'm Mr. Warren Hayes, and I'm back with more of the G1 Climax 32 recap, review, reestablishing of what's going on. That's what I do. That's what I'm here. We've got two more nights that have passed by us. Nights 9 and 10 of the G1. I'm going to talk about them in a second. But first, I want to thank everyone for tuning in, watching right now on youtube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes. If you're here watching this on YouTube right now, thank you very much. Consider subscribing to the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel if you haven't already. That would be great. That way you'll get the rest of my coverage. You'll be notified when I record the Mr. Warren Hayes Show proper. And you know, whatever nonsense comes around. Who knows? That gets surprising sometimes. I come in, blah. So do that. And if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast application, thank you very much. I appreciate it a great deal. Consider giving us, a good review on iTunes. One of those 5-star deals. Maybe a 5-star rating on Spotify. All these little things, they help out. Like all the little things you do, they end up helping tremendously the growth of the juggernaut that is the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. Yeah, we've got two more nights of the G1 to go down. We'll talk about everything as we move into it, right? As we keep as we keep rolling this snowball along. But I'm going to tell you, my opinion hasn't really changed in regards to the last review that I did, where I considered everything to be pretty mid. Remember that? Said the G1 is mid right now. Excuse me. And I would continue down that path, that train of thought, because we haven't got it yet. There's one match that I will, gladly recommend. We'll get to that. But other than that, there's neither night 9 or 10 would I tell you, sit down, watch this, make the time for it. Neither. And this has been a trend. And I'll tell you what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for our great night of wrestling, our great night of G1, the one where every match hits. Everyone is just on it, and it's great to excellent matches. Because we got the opposite. We got the opposite, right? Night 3, the night we're not supposed to mention anymore, but I'm just mentioning here just out of sake of clarity. Night 3 was the pits. We got the night of the G1 that you should avoid. Well, where is the night of the G1 that you absolutely have to watch from top to bottom? Where the tournament matches are mind-blowing. We haven't got that yet. And again, here's the thing, is the work is there. The work is solid. But we're not hitting that next gear. We're not hitting this level of G1 action where everyone just that's all everyone talks about. You remember a few years ago when New Japan fans were really fucking annoying because all they could talk about was, how great New Japan was? That doesn't happen. And it should be happening during the G1. What's going on? Like I said, the work is fine. Some nifty little matches, but, it's like a WrestleMania main event. You expect the WrestleMania main event to over-deliver, to just blow your socks off, right? It's not a Monday Night Raw. It's not a fucking, Backlash or a Great Balls of Fire or, it's WrestleMania. Well, this is the G1. I shouldn't be sitting around watching, matches that belong on, Road 2 tours. And the thing that's wild to me, the thing that makes this even just a little more difficult to understand. Okay? In the structure that we have here with the 27, 28 dudes in this tournament, in the 4-block setup, there are long stretches of time for multiple wrestlers that they have off, right? They have multiple nights off, as opposed to the double block G1 that we've been experiencing over the past few years. It's this grueling thing. You might have one night off, but you're always wrestling. And if you're not wrestling on the main card, you're wrestling on the undercard in tag team matches and trios and so on and so forth. So I was expecting, I was like, what I was saying to myself is there's no excuse here for guys to go all out on these matches, in their matches, if they can rest for like 6 days afterwards, if they can rest for 3 days, if they can rest for 11 days. But no. And it's kind of wild to me. I don't know what we're, look, let's start reviewing. Let's break it all down. Night 1, it was on July 31, night 9, that is, was the Aichi Prefectural Gymnasium over in Nagoya. Started off with a block match, Jeff Cobb defeating Lance Archer. Fine little match that these two big dudes have. You know what? Here, it made me realize how fucking tall Lance Archer is. How big of a human being this guy is. Because he literally had to look down when standing, chest to chest with Jeff Cobb. And Jeff Cobb is, he's not exactly a small human. That's a chunk of humanity right there. So, it just starts off like, whoa, all right. And what's cool is that, look, they showed off their agility, both of them, with leapfrogs and drop kicks, and Archer hits the running senton off the apron, which I think is always, it's always a spectacular move to see him do that. He's tossing Jeff Cobb around, which is a sight in and about itself. He eventually, Archer goes for the rope walk, but Jeff Cobb drags him off into a spin cycle. We get a running suplex by Jeff Cobb as well, which was amazing. Fake out drop kick by Cobb as well, followed by the standing moonsault. The big pounce by Archer. The black hole slam. Cobb escapes the blackout attempt. Then we get a series of Germans between both guys, but Cobb hits the Tour of the Islands for the win. Again, like, fun little match, but, it was just in the same gear. But there's nothing to really complain about because the work was fine. It was solid. Two large athletic guys going at it. Am I expecting something more physical out of the A block? This A block that I was hyped up, that was hyped up to me as being the Haas block, right? Yes, I think so. And, this match somewhat encompasses what I feel about the G1 at this point, where I'm like, this match should have ruled. You know what I mean? Like, we should have been done with this match and telling everyone, I fucking lost my mind because Jeff Cobb and Lance Archer just did, inhumanly stupid things to each other. But it was fine. I can't bitch about the match other than just expressing that I wasn't quite what I was expecting, kind of thing. Anyway. YOSHI-HASHI in the D block match of the night defeated Juice Robinson in a bit of a stunner, a surprise. And okay, this is something, right? This is also part of the G1. These surprise victories, these people that you think are going forward, favorites, ones that you sort of look at the booking and you're like, oh, well, because what did I tell y'all when I started this off? I was saying, they're probably going to, Juice is probably going to have a strong G1. He's probably going to be right up there, and it's going to go down to the wire between him and Will Ospreay. They're having a match on the last night together, and they have the whole U.S. title angle thing going. Well, look, they got rid of the U.S. title angle thing in the match with Dave Finlay. And Juice eats another loss. What the hell do I know? Like I'm used to getting swerved in the G1. That's part and parcel, But it feels like everyone, like there's just these left field victories. They're like, oh, holy shit. But look, again, I thought this was a very fun match, actually. I thought this is right up there. If you were to ask me, this was match of the night. In regards to the 31st, night 9, July 31st, night 9. Robinson goes after YOSHI-HASHI right before the bell, drops him throat first on the rail. There's a really fun moment, where there's a pile, where Robinson hits a pile driver in the ring. YOSHI-HASHI kicks out, and Juice can't believe it. And he turns to the ref, he shoves him. He's like, that was a pile driver. Are you stupid? Is what he tells him. It's like, just count, man. The guy's dead. Robinson goes back outside, peels the padding off the floor. There's some back and forth, some great chops by YOSHI-HASHI. Hits the headhunter, the blockbuster, Kumigoroshi. He does a sleeper into a backstabber as well. Robinson lands the left hand of God, goes for pulp friction. It's reversed into a dragon suplex, followed by karma. Again, YOSHI-HASHI working his ass off. And that's something you can't fault the guy. There's people like this in this tournament. I think I talked about it at length over the past couple of recaps. I might not rehash necessarily this territory, but it still goes to show YOSHI-HASHI here gets a win and worked hard for it, but he works hard every night. He works hard all the time. So, fun little match that they had here. Move on to B block now. We're talking about Jay White defeating Chase Owens in a Bullet Club versus Bullet Club match. And here's the thing, right? This is all tied into the Bullet Club story. Chase Owens, everyone, they kicked out Gorillas of Destiny. There's the House of Torture doing their little thing on the side, but everyone sort of pledged their allegiance back to Jay White. Chase is one of these guys. And they had, set the fact, that probably, Chase was going to lie down. So, there's this whole thing where Jay White has an envelope for Chase, and it's written, he has the envelope in his hands, and it's written Chase with an XOXO on it, and he hands it over to Chase, and Chase wants to open it, and then Jay's like, no, it's fine. Just go hand it to the timekeeper. He's cool. You can check it out later. And at first, Chase is like, what? But then he's like, but then he smells something fishy. So he goes and opens the envelope regardless. And the top bill of the stack is real. The bottom one of the stack is real, but everything else is just like blank sheets of paper. So Jay White tries to reason with them, and Chase Owens like, "Where's my money? You promised me money." And they're sort of like, "Okay, let's do this. Let's stick to the plan." They do a finger poke, which I kind of laughed. But Chase Owens doesn't trust Jay White, and he C-triggers him, and there's just some outright suspicion throughout the entire match. Chase Owens tries to package pile drive Jay White on the floor, but Goto gets involved and reasons with Jay White, and he says, "Look, we're all on the same team. Don't do it. This is terrible. Don't do it." And Chase Owens sort of, but Jay White gets the upper hand, and then he tries to go like, for a moment he's like, I'm gonna go berserk on him on the floor, but you can see even Jay White is having like a crisis of conscience, and he's like, "No, I can't do this to my pal here, my stablemate, my faction mate." Chase Owens back in the ring hits a super kick and a shining wizard. He goes for the rebound lariat, but Jay White blocks it with a side Russian leg sweep. followed by Uranagi. There's a C trigger by Chase Owens. Jay White then avoids the package pile driver in the ring, but instead eats a Styles Clash. Pair of big C triggers by Owens. Package pile driver attempt follows, but Jay White rolls into the Blade Runner for the win on this one. Overall, this was not the most wrestling intensive match, and there were a lot of shenanigans, but it's a story match. Like, if anything, this was closer to a Yano match than anything else, and somewhat a little more entertaining than some of the Yano matches we've been having. And it keeps telling the story of the Bullet Club, which is not uninteresting. And I think this was a fun dynamic that we had here, like just to show, that even within the Bullet Club, people still don't entirely trust each other. And, they're all snakes. Kazuchika Okada in the next match for Block A defeated Bad Luck Fale. I got nothing for you here. I have no use for Bad Luck Fale. No use. Okada wins with the money clip is what I wrote down as a note. Okada wins with the money clip. This was a slow match. This was Bad Luck Fale's disaster cardio type of match here. There's nothing to report. There's nothing to bring out of this. There's nothing to highlight outside the fact that the Rainmaker, Kazuchika Okada, one of the greatest to ever do it, a legend, a living legend right now, did not have to use his real big ass finisher to finish him off. He used his secondary submission move to have him tap out. That should tell you where Fale falls on the scales now. You don't fall on scales. Falls on the board. Falls in the mess. This is where he lands anyway. Tapping out to the money clip. I'm about it. We're good. And then the main event, Tetsuya Naito defeated Evil to finally get his 2 points, and in my opinion, begin his uninterrupted winning streak right to the very end of the block here. This was okay, like fun match with minimal House of Torture nonsense, which needs to be underscored. It's not that there was none, but there were no lights, there was no, not Yujiro running in doing his, fucking nonsense, and Show running in with the wrench, and none of that. Just there was some, and they're still playing the fact, Naito and Evil, Naito still feels betrayed and all of that. It's time to get over it. Time to get over it, Naito. This was okay. Like I said, fun. Evil attacks before the bell. They go to the floor. They do the timekeeper's table spot. Evil also does the home run chair spot as well. Back in the ring, Naito lands an inverted atomic drop and a drop kick to the knee, combination cabron. Then Naito sends the action to the floor, and he does the home run chair spot, and they do the timekeeper's table spot again. Evil locks in the Darkness Scorpion. And he also hits Darkness Falls. Can't put Naito away, of course. Togo, in the meantime, sets up a table on the outside. They go back to the floor, then back in the ring. Elbows and a running Destino by Tetsuya Naito. There's a ref bump and a low blow by Evil. Naito fights back, though, and finally they end up on the apron, and Naito lands a pile driver off the apron through the table. Oh, Jesus. Hell of a spot. Because those tables, man, those New Japan tables, and I think someone on commentary, was this the one? I think Tom Lawlor was on commentary on this one. Fun little commentary spot by Tom Lawlor there. using his night off to add some English commentary while Chris Charlton wasn't around. I enjoyed him. I thought it was fun. Because at the same time, Lawlor at some point, he was asking, it's like, especially in this match when Togo was interfering and whatnot, he was like, when does Naito come out with people? Isn't he in a group? And then you have, Kevin Kelly going, well, it doesn't quite work that way. Well, he doesn't do that. And Lawler's like, have his friends come out. Why aren't they coming out to look after him? That was fun. But Lawler in this part is putting over the Japanese tables because he says that's a hell of a pile driver he ate there. Hell of a pile driver he ate there because landing on those tables in Japan they're not easy tables to go through. So little extra oomph there. And there's some more fighting, and we ended with a Destino. Fun, nothing memorable. Will not be the last time Naito and Evil fight, and they've had better matches. I think they've had one really good match, if I'm not mistaken. Wasn't it, I want to say, Summer Struggle 2020, when Naito reclaimed the IWGP title from Evil. That was the stadium show. It was the baseball stadium show, right? And I think that match was really good. I think everything else was pretty much under par. This is the same, but enjoyable and fine, and it's Naito. And he got his first win. And honestly, there's nothing here that I'm recommending, that I'm like, go see this, despite the fact that, YOSHI-HASHI and Juice Robinson to me was match of the night. It's not something that I'd be like, go watch it. I mean, it's fine. It's fine. It's very strong, solid action, but missing that next level. We didn't get it. It's not night 9 of the G1 that will provide it. So completely skippable. You won't miss a thing. Night 10 now, which happened today as I'm recording this, August 2nd, Hamamatsu Arena in Hamamatsu. Started off with Great Khan defeating Tomohiro Ishii. Starts off with some quick submission attempts by the Great Khan. All hail. He keeps Ishii off his feet as much as he can until Ishii baits Great Khan into a striking game by slapping him in the corner. And then it goes downhill from there. He eats a lariat, does the Great Khan in a shoulder block, finally falls off his feet. Great Khan fights back with some Mongolian chops. They trade four harms. They trade 4 harms. 4 times the harm. Ishii goes for a brainbuster, but Great Khan steps into a suplex, a kick by Ishii, shotgun dropkick by Great Khan, and a lariat. Both men are down. We get a sheep killer by Great Khan, followed by a bicycle kick that's blocked by Ishii and transitions it into a German suplex. Huge lariat, butterfly suplex on top of that. Goes for the brainbuster. It's avoided. Great Khan, by Great Khan, of course, but he eats a Tomohiro Ishii enziguri to the mouth. They trade some headbutts, some more back and forth. The Eliminator gets the job done for Great Khan. Unspectacular, fine, just a match that happened. Great Khan finally gets his 2 points up there as well. But I've got nothing. I've got nothing else to add. There's nothing else to say. Block A action was next, where Tom Lawlor defeated Toru Yano. So this is pretty much what you did. If you know anything about Tom Lawlor's career, you're probably like, he is going to embrace the nonsense of this match. And he did. He absolutely did. He comes with a wig. Well, first of all, we're not quite sure it's a wig. His hair is all over the place. And he wants one of Yano's DVDs, and he's ready to trade a DVD with Yano. And it turns out that it's a copy of Sister Act, the Whoopi Goldberg movie. And when Yano declines, he says, well, look, I'll double down. And I'll give you a copy of Sister Act and Sister Act 2. So we have Tom Lawlor on Japanese television telling us 3 weeks at number 1 was Sister Act in Japan back in 1992 or 93, whenever it was released. We're learning this on a wrestling show being broadcast in Japan, that Whoopi Goldberg comedic vehicle, Sister Act, was number 1 for 3 weeks upon its release in the land of the rising sun. The stuff, the culture that pro wrestling brings to me is undeniable. Yano accepts the trade, but it turns out that sneaky Yano didn't put a DVD in his case, so the case is empty. And then there's shenanigans. And then we realize that Lawlor had a wig because Yano tries to yank his hair and the wig just flies off. They do lots of shenanigans with the pants removal. Tom Lawlor does the I take off the jorts to reveal jorts kind of thing. Well, Yano took off his tights to reveal he had the exact same tights underneath. And then even later, Tom Lawlor takes his jorts off again and he's got more jorts on. Lots of shenanigans in the match, as you'd assume. Removing pants, turnbuckle pads. Yano goes for the low blow, but Tom Lawlor is immune to the low blow. We find out after the match he was wearing a cup. I was very disappointed. Because he takes it off in the ring and he had it on. You know how sometimes in wrestling gimmicks, right, when they have cups, they'll just like slide it, and it'll just be there. Lawlor did the whole 9 yards. He tied it up like he wore it proper. He had the laces, going around his back, and it was a nice snug fit. Like that cup was staying exactly where it was where it was meant to be, despite all the nonsense. And he pulls it out after. He wins with the NKTOB, but Lawlor does. And then he pulls it out after the match and he lifts it and shows it to the audience. Missed opportunity to have had it been in denim. It was not in denim. It was blue. So I will give Tom Lawlor points for at least some level of continuity in his scheme, in his design scheme. But I was very disappointed that his jock cup was not in denim. I think this was my favorite Yano match of the G1 so far, for whatever that's worth. I enjoyed it. It was fun. Tom Lawlor wins, got his first 2 points as well. Tonga defeated SANADA in this match. Here again, all right, a fun little match. It's okay, it's like, here we go. And this is one where I was fully expecting Tonga to shift gears here, but no, we're still, it's fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just like, where's the spark? What's going on? What are the guys receiving orders backstage from the bookers saying, don't go too hard now, for some reason? I wouldn't imagine. Why would you do that outside of, outside of working for another promotion? Why would you do that? Paradise Lock early on by SANADA and a snap suplex. Pescado, he goes for the TKO. It's reversed by Tonga into a Tongan twist. The Stinger Splash is avoided, but Tonga hits the rolling DVD and the Supreme Flow as well. SANADA hits a springboard drop kick and the TKO as well. Goes for the moonsault. Tonga lifts the knees. There's a gun stump attempt. It's blocked, and SANADA holds on and falls right back. Like, he just drops back right into the skull end. There was something kind of rough and rugged about it that I really liked about that spot. I thought it was cool. We get some more back and forth. We get a bunch of reversals, including SANADA cartwheeling out of a Tongan twist. Tonga rolls out of an O'Connor roll, hits the gun stun. We're good. He gets his another 2 points. He's up to 4. I'm going to talk about the standings, of course, at the end. I think this is one of these matches where SANADA was just a step behind. And if you watch a lot of SANADA matches, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But I think this one was just a little step behind. Kenta defeated Hirooki Goto here in our C block match of the night. There's grappling that happens until it goes to the floor, and Kenta uses the bell on Goto. He hits a DDT on the floor as well. Hirooki Goto fights back, but eats a power slam and a dream killer. Kenta goes for the face wash kick and a basement drop kick as well. The coup de grace is avoided by Hirooki Goto, who hits a Ushigoroshi. Now there's a ref bump that happens as well. And then there's a lot of shenanigans over whether Kenta wants to use Hirooki Goto's bow staff or not. And he goes for it, he brings it in the ring, tries to use it, he can't. Then there's another ref bump, and then Hirooki Goto uses it. But it ends up that, yes, eventually, yes, Kenta uses the bow staff, hits the Busaiku knee, GTS, and he wins the match, right? And, look, I think I was more excited about this match than anything else on this card here because, these are two guys who hit really hard, and have great technique and aren't afraid. And both of these dudes are fearless, right? But it's not what I got. I don't know. It was, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with it per se, Again, fun little match. Lots of nonsense with the bow staff, but finally the main event was for Block D, where get this, Dave Finlay defeated Will Ospreay in, like I said, if anything, this tournament is just about surprise wins. We get like every other every other night and a half, like just someone that you're not expecting is just like whoop, pull out a win, like YOSHI-HASHI on night 9. Okay, and Dave Finlay over Will Ospreay. Is Dave Finlay on top of that brought the U.S. title that he yoinked from Juice Robinson a couple of nights ago. So he's like, well, So Will Ospreay, he's pissed off about it, and he's disrobing before getting to the ring, not his usual poised, cocky self. He's pissed off, and they start swinging when this one goes, and I'm into it. Like, all right, good, let's go. Like, this is the fire I want. This is the fire that I'm looking for from these guys. I'm like, you're scrambling for 2 points. There's 7 guys per block. You lose 1-2 matches, you could be screwed. Do you really want to win the tournament? Let's fucking go. But and you see the thing here is that these guys, they're fired up, they're going for it, but it has nothing to do with the tournament. It's because of the U.S. title belt bullshit, which is fine in the context because it still works. I'm still psyched because I'm like, all right, now we got a grudge, we got something that's feeding the flames here. But scoring points in the goddamn G1 should be enough. That's all I'm saying. This spills to the floor. Finley's in control. He wrenches Ospreay's arm, launches him into the rail, Once we get back into the ring, there's a snap suplex, flying uppercut forearm by Finley as well. But he eventually gets chopped back to the floor. Ospreay brings him back in. Body slam, more chops. Ospreay starts to stretch Dave Finlay's arm, working the left shoulder, which of course was he had to have surgery for. He was injured. Finley fights back, but Ospreay hits a handspring kick and a pescado and pip pip cheerio. Finley hits a Uranagi backbreaker. We get some top rope shenanigans between them both that end in a huge superplex by Finley. We also get an Os cutter on the apron, which was really cool. Ospreay hits a missile drop kick as soon as Dave Finlay struggles back into the ring after that Os cutter, which is like, that's it. That's the urgency I want. You know, Finlay rolls into the ring, and as he's rolling into the ring, Ospreay's right up on the ropes. He's jumping up on the ropes to hit the missile drop kick before, like, god damn, that's the fire I want in this tournament. Os cutter, we go for an Os cutter. It's blocked. We get a forearm by Finlay, but another Os cutter connects. Finlay goes for a stunner. It's blocked. He eats a hook kick instead. Ospreay runs the ropes, and we get a jumping stunner by Dave Finlay, followed by an acid drop. However, we get another hook kick by Ospreay, a lariat, a jumping knee strike, but Dave Finlay hits the trash panda for the win. To my shock and amazement, bewilderment. I was not expecting this at all. I thought this match was pretty good. Should I outright recommend it? You know, it's not anything that's gonna... Look, I thought this was a pretty good match. I thought it was pretty good. I enjoyed it tremendously. Match of the night, unquestionably. Best match I saw over the past 2 nights, for sure. It's not it's not as compelling as Ospreay versus El Fantasmo or Finlay versus Juice Robinson, for instance. Those were fantastic matches. This is all right. But it was a high level, all right. Good. I'd just go ahead and call it a good match. Should you drop everything and go see it? No, but if you want to see like a fun, fired up match by 2 guys who are very good at pro wrestling, go right ahead. And you know what? Dave Finlay, if you want to be just surprised, you're like, holy shit, look at our boy go. Because Dave Finlay is the most unassuming wrestler in this entire tournament. And yet here we are. He's got 6 points. He's leading the block. Let's talk about the standings. I'm going to do that right now. As it stands right now, again, if you're watching this on youtube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes, you can see the standings right here on screen. Kazuchika Okada is leading A block, 6 points. We have Jeff Cobb and Bad Luck Fale at 4 points, but Jeff Cobb right now, I put him in above Bad Luck Fale because right now Cobb is 2-1, whereas Bad Luck Fale is 2-2. So Fale's record, so Fale has 1 more match in him, but the 1 more loss on top of that. So Lance Archer, Jonah, and Tom Lawlor all at 2 points. All are 1-2 at this point. And Toru Yano has 2 points. He is 1-3. Mathematically speaking, he is out of the tournament. He is our first. He is the first deletion from the tournament. He's officially, but for real, he's done. 4 matches in. He's 1-3. Even if you were to mount some kind of weird comeback and Okada were to lose all of the rest of his matches, something highly improbable, Okada still has the tiebreaker. Mathematically, he's toast. So Toru Yano is officially gone. I should have crossed him out. He'll be crossed out on the next edition of the G1 Climax recap right here on youtube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes or on your favorite podcast application. B block. Jay White still sits at top. 6 points, 3 matches, perfect record, just like Kazuchika Okada. Surprise, surprise. Tama Tonga and SANADA both have 4 points. Tama Tonga, though, has the better record. He is currently 1-3, whereas SANADA is 2-4. Not looking good for SANADA. What did I say? 1-3 for Tama Tonga? No, it's 2-3. 2-1. 2-1. Jesus. Numbers. Don't forget. I'm an English major. Taichi has 2 points, but he is the only wrestler in B block to only have 2 matches under his belt. So he's 1-1. Chase Owens and Great Khan are at 2 points as well. So is Tomohiro Ishii. However, Owens and Great Khan both at 1 and 2. Whereas Tomohiro Ishii is at 1 and 3. He as well is mathematically eliminated from the G1. So Toru Yano, Tomohiro Ishii are the first wrestlers to be disqualified because of poor points showing. As for the C block, we have a tie for first place, 4 points each. Hiroshi Tanahashi, Zack Sabre Jr., and Hirooki Goto, who are all 2-1 at this point. Evil is in there with 2 points at the second place. He is 1-1 for his win-loss record so far. I think he is, and he is the only one in Block C who only has 2 matches in. Aaron Henare and Tetsuya Naito and Kenta all wrap up the block with 2 points apiece. 1 and 2 each. 1 victory, 2 losses. So as I said, my prediction maintains. Tetsuya Naito's comeback begins because his top competition, which I still consider to be Zack Sabre Jr., had a defeat. He took his first loss. Again, I'm going to keep pointing to the last night of block competition. Naito and Zack Sabre Jr. are fighting, and I'm convinced they're going to go into this match, if not tied with Naito 1 match behind Zack Sabre Jr., 2 points behind Zack Sabre Jr., and then he beats Zack Sabre Jr. Points are tied. Tetsuya Naito has the tiebreaker, and he moves on. I'm pretty sure that it's going to be this situation. So everyone is still technically in the race here. Although I would assume Aaron Henare is going to be left to the wayside. The way things are going for Kenta, I don't see him going for... And Hirooki Goto actually having a better G1 than I expected so far. D block. Dave Finlay up there with 6 points. Look at him. Do not confuse it with the Kazuchika Okada or Jay White 6 points. Our boy Dave here is 3-1. He has 4 matches in, as opposed to Kazuchika Okada and Jay White, who still have 3. Will Ospreay is at 4 points. He is 2-1, thanks to the loss to Dave Finlay. Yujiro Takahashi, the Tokyo Pimp, is on the board as well with 2 points, and he is 1-2. So is El Fantasmo. And so is YOSHI-HASHI. No, YOSHI-HASHI is actually 1-1, having defeated Juice Robinson and Shingo Takagi. So he's a match behind everyone here, the rest of the board. Juice Robinson and Shingo Takagi round up the bottom with 2 points each. They are 1-2. And I'm really and it's like I said, in regards to Shingo, I'm not surprised because they're not doing anything with Shingo. He's not being pushed. He's not being put into any stories. So it's fine right now. But Juice, I'm a little surprised. Juice, I would have thought that with the gimmick change, with the angle that he had going with both Dave Finlay and Will. But I mean, there's still time for him to catch up. Again, nobody's eliminated here. But Juice only has 3 matches left. It's still anyone's game. So that's where we're at right now. This is what I'm discovering again as we're covering 4 blocks for the first time in this setup here. There's a lot less potential for drama and reversals here, or at least they're stretched out. Let's put it that way. Like there's obviously can be reversals and drama. I've I talked about there's been surprise victories over the past 2 nights and throughout the G1 as well. And that's probably going to be the story. But the surprise victories hit harder because there's always surprise victories in the G1, but they hit harder because there are less matches for every guy and every win counts so much. So it's an interesting dynamic, and I'm not quite sure. Like I feel like the potential for, night 8, night 9, or no, not night 8, night 9, but like, later down the line when everyone is like at 7, 8 points, 10 points, then you start getting these, the wins start to change all of a sudden because there's this fight at the top. Like it's another type. It's not, I don't feel it's quite as dramatic. Let's put it that way. I might eat my words, but as it stands right now, I'm like, okay, well, everything feels like a very even playing field in a lot of the blocks still. I think, A block is very clear still to me who's winning. I still think Jay White might get upset. But C block is still, again, I'm still predicting Naito, but it's still anyone's game. D block is still fairly evened out. Because Finley, look, here's the thing. There's one thing that I do want to underscore here. Dave Finley has 2 more matches left. He has only suffered a loss to Yujiro so far. Okay, Yujiro's a non-factor in this tournament at this point for Dave. He's a non-factor because Yujiro is not going to mount a comeback, and absolutely not. Dave has YOSHI-HASHI and El Phantasmo left, who could absolutely act like spoilers. But since Finley's been on a 3-match streak here, it's not entirely it muddles the cards a little bit, where you're like, well, he could score at least another win over YOSHI-HASHI, over Phantasmo. But now YOSHI-HASHI won a match. Is he going to continue that stroke of good luck? We haven't seen Phantasmo in a while. He's going to come back rested. You know what I mean? Like, he has 2 more matches, and they could go either way. Will, on the other hand, has Shingo in his path, has YOSHI-HASHI, who always puts up a hell of a fight, and Juice on the final night. I mean, it's still plausible for him to win because he is a top-tier guy in New Japan, but they've been throwing curveballs at us. Shingo's not going to be a factor, I don't think. El Phantasmo. Well, look, he's got Yujiro and El Phantasmo left on top of Ospreay. So, I mean, it's plausible, again, to see him get a win here. But he did lose to both Juice and David Finlay. Look, we're getting closer to the end here, right? Because, look, we're past the halfway mark. The last night of block matches is August 16, night 18. So we're officially halfway done. And outside of A block, I don't think anything is really crystal clear. I think the name of this tournament so far has been surprises. And the surprise wins in the context of such a short G1 are all the more important. They're more significant. We'll see how the rest of this continues on then. And it will continue on over the next couple of days. The next 2 nights of action, night 11 will be on August 5th, which is what? Friday? Yeah, Friday. 5 more matches. D block will be, we'll have Yujiro Takahashi, the Tokyo Pimp, and Juice Robinson. We'll also have Taichi and Chase Owens in B block action. One of two C block matches, Tetsuya Naito versus Aaron Henare, Jonah versus Jeff Cobb in block A action, and the main event, block C, Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Evil. That's going to take place in Matsuyama on August 5th. Then on August 6th, the very next day, night 12 at in Osaka at the Osaka Prefectural Gymnasium. What do they call it now? It's not called that anymore. The Aidan, right? Aidan. Look, Osaka Prefectural Gymnasium in Osaka, Japan. D block match, El Fantasmo versus YOSHI-HASHI. We'll have some A block action with Lance Archer versus Toru Yano. Zack Sabre Jr. and Hirooki Goto will be going at it in the C block. Great Khan versus Jay White for the B block, which has the potential to be a spoiler for Jay, this one here. This one has the potential to be a... If Jay's going to eat one, I feel it's this one because of the way they liked Great Khan. Despite the fact that he hasn't been booked very strong throughout the tournament so far, he's bit down in the dumps in B block. He could be the one who spoils it for Jay. Spoils the top place of B block. And the main event will be another D block match. Shingo versus Will. That's going to rule, regardless of the outcome. But I don't know where is the great night of G1 action? Where is it? Where is the one that from top to bottom you're riveted? And Warren Hayes can sit here and tell you in complete confidence, sit your ass down, find a way to watch this match, subscribe to New Japan World, right? And just watch it. I haven't seen it yet. I'm excited. I'm hoping. Staying hopeful. I mean, again, it's not not shitting on the G1. Overall, very strong, well wrestled, just missing that extra little oomph. So I will likely be back on August 6th to recap the next two nights, folks. In the meantime, thank you very much for being here, and we'll see you next time.